John Evans had been out of town on business for a little over a week and was supposed to be gone for another 4 days, but he finished his business early and decided to head home early to surprise his wife, Beth. It was 11 o'clock Tuesday morning when John entered his house through the front door. He was holding a dozen roses and a bottle of wine. He expected to find Beth reading a book on the couch or in the kitchen making herself lunch, but she wasn't there. He heard a noise coming from the bedroom down the hall and figured Beth was putting away laundry or something. He crept down the hallway hoping to surprise her, but when he got closer, it was him who was in for a surprise. There were unmistakable sounds coming from the bedroom. The door was ajar just enough for John to peek into the bedroom. He couldn't see the bed directly, but the mirror on Beth's dresser gave him everything he needed. There, on the bed, John's friend Mark was making love to his wife, to whom he had been married for 4 years. John stood motionless at that moment, his heart breaking. He dropped the roses and almost dropped the wine, but held it back as he knew Mark and Beth would hear it. As John's eyes filled with tears, his ears filled with something else. "Oh, baby, you like it, don't you?" Mark asked. "Yes, God, yes, I do," Beth replied. "Your husband can't pleasure a woman the way I do?" Mark asked smugly. "He's never home long enough. He's always traveling, but he's a great lover, the best I've ever had," Beth said. "If that's the way you feel, maybe I'll just go home," Mark said. "No, please don't do that. I don't want you to go. You're a good lover too. It's different with John. He and I make love, and with you we just sleep," Beth said. "So do you want me to go on?" Mark asked. "Yes, God, yes," Beth screamed out. "Ask for it. Please go on." "Okay, but I don't want you to talk about him anymore when you're with me," Mark said. John had been listening intently to the whole conversation and now realized that this wasn't some simple mistake. It was a long story. He was pissed off and had an uncontrollable urge to barge in there and put a stop to it. The problem was that Mark was 35 pounds heavier than John, and he was a boxer, so John had no chance in the fight. But John remembered the shotgun he had in his office. John crept down the hall to his office. He set down the bottle of wine, picked up the shotgun, then hesitated as he reached for the ammo. Which ones should he use? He had regular ammo, but he also had a case of rubber bullet ammo with a smaller powder charge. He bought them for target practice. They wouldn't be lethal, but they would allow him to get his point across. John agonized for a few minutes, thinking about which ammunition to use. Kill them or just scare the hell out of them. John made his choice and loaded the rubber bullet rounds into the shotgun and then snuck back down the hallway. John quietly opened the door and entered the room. Beth and Mark were too engrossed in their illicit sex to notice John enter. Their first indication that they were not alone was when John dramatically cocked the trigger of the shotgun to prepare it to fire. "Honey, I'm home!" shouted John in a sadistic tone. "Oh, shit!" yelled Mark. Mark rolled off Beth and tried to grab his pants, but John aimed the shotgun and fired. He hit Mark in the balls. He collapsed to the floor, writhing in pain. "Oh my God, you shot him! John, what the hell are you doing?" Beth yelled. "I'm asserting my rights as a husband, Beth. You're my wife and he had you. I have every right to get revenge." John said. "Is it worth killing someone?" Beth asked. "Oh, I'm not going to kill him. They're rubber bullets. They didn't even damage the skin. I'm just teaching my so-called friend a lesson." "As for you," John said. John shot Beth in the stomach. She bent over in pain and vomited all over the bed. "You two hurt me. You ruined my life, so it's only fair that I ruin yours in return," John said. John dialed his cell phone number. "Hi," Lisa answered. "Lisa, it's John. It's very important that you come to my house right away. There's something you need to see," said John. "What is it, John?" Lisa asked. "It's a surprise. Hurry up. The front door is open. Come in," said John. Lisa was Mark's wife, and after calling her, John called Beth's parents, her closest friends, Mark's boss, and the pastor of the church where both Beth and Mark were very active. He sat down in the chair that Beth used to get dressed and kept his shotgun at the ready in case Mark or Beth tried to leave. Mark was still in too much pain, and Beth was too scared to move from her seat. After only a few minutes of waiting, people started showing up and heading for the bedroom. "Oh my God, what's going on here?" Lisa asked, seeing John with a shotgun. "Go look on the other side of the bed," John said. Lisa walked over and saw her husband lying on the floor naked and grimacing in pain. "My God, Did they have sex? Lisa exclaimed. Yes, I came home early to surprise my wife with wine and roses, but instead I was surprised to find your husband having my wife. Apparently this has been going on for quite some time, John said. I don't see any blood. Did you shoot him? Lisa asked. I used a rubber bullet, but I hit him right in the balls. They are probably starting to swell by now. He won't be the lover he was for a while. John said. Like I give a shit. He's never going to touch me again. Consider yourself divorced, you piece of shit, Lisa shouted. The rest of the people John had called began to show up to survey the scene. You're a worthless tramp. John loves you and provides you with a great home and a great life. And this is how you repay him? Beth's mom exclaimed. She started hitting Beth and had to be restrained by Beth's dad. We are so sorry that our daughter did this to you, John. If there's anything we can do for you, let us know, her father said. You can get her the hell out of my house, and someone should pick up that piece of trash, John said, pointing at Mark. Her parents dressed Beth and tried to drag her to the door. No, John, don't make me leave. We can work this out. Please let me stay, begged Beth. Beth, you and I are done. I will never forgive you for what you did. I only chose rubber bullets because I still loved some part of you. Otherwise, you and Lover both would be dead right now, and I'd be on my way to prison. Get her out of here, John said. Despite shooting 2 people with potentially deadly weapons, the police never arrived, and they never questioned John. The day afterward, John served Beth with divorce papers. They were living in a no-fault divorce, but her parents were so upset about what their daughter had done that they cut her off from her trust fund and gave John a nice lump sum. So even after they divided what they had in common, he walked away quite wealthy. Beth became an alcoholic and was married and divorced several times. Lisa immediately divorced Mark, and she married a nice guy who treats her right. As for Mark, his right testicle was crushed and had to be removed immediately. Then his left testicle became infected and had to be removed a few weeks later. After his divorce, John dated many women but never took any of them seriously. He decided that he wouldn't be able to trust anyone like that for a very long time yet. When he pours himself a beer, he tells the story of what happened and always emphasizes how difficult the decision to choose between rubber bullets and real bullets was. No one listening to this story seems to realize how difficult the decision to choose rubber bullets was.